taking in of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide with the help of respiratory system is called respiration, or inhaling and exhaling the air is called respiration. How the air enters into respiratory system from the atmosphere, and how the air comes out of the respiratory system. So this is called respiratory mechanism. Respiratory mechanism. What is that one? That is respiratory mechanism. Respiratory mechanism. The study of how the air enters into respiratory system, how the air comes out of the respiratory system. That is called respiratory mechanism. So before going to know that, first we learn the respiratory system. What are the parts in the respiratory system? Generally, children, the respiratory system contains first one, that is nose. Nose is the first part. Next, nasal cavity. What is the children next one? Nasal cavity. Nasal cavity. Next, pharynx. What is the children next one? Pharynx. Next, larynx. Pharynx and larynx. Next part, that is trachea. Next, lungs. Okay, children, these are the lungs. These are the parts present in the respiratory system. Let us study in detail. First of all, what is the first part? That is nose. This is nose, children. Okay, and this is the mouth. The cavity inside the nose is called, this is called nose. The cavity inside the nose, this is called nasal cavity. If you observe our nose, inside the nose, there is a hollow space. That hollow space is called nasal cavity. So this nasal cavity opens outside through two holes. These are nostrils. Opens outside through two holes. Those are called, these openings are called nostrils. This is nose and these are nostrils. Okay, children, this is called nasal cavity. Cavity means hollow space. This is called nasal cavity. Okay, children, the cavity inside the mouth is called oral cavity or buccal cavity. Oral cavity or buccal cavity. We know this nasal cavity opens into next part, that is pharynx. This is called pharynx. Children, in the digestive system, we studied about the pharynx. What is pharynx? Pharynx is a common junction for both air and food passage. So, here the digestive system, pharynx opens into esophagus. But in the respiratory system, here the pharynx opens into next part, that is larynx. larynx children. So this is a common junction. Common junction. This pharynx is the common junction for both food and air passage. This is larynx. Okay, children, this is larynx. Children, if you observe the larynx, in the larynx there are two cords. These two are called vocal cords. So when the air passes over the vocal cords, these cords vibrates. Because of this vibration, sound is produced. So this larynx is also called voice box. This is called voice box. This is called trachea. What is this, children? This is called trachea. Ring-like structures, children. These ring-like structures. See, children, these ring-like structures. So these are rings of cartilage. This is called windpipe. This one, so here what will happen? This trachea in the chest cavity divides into two branches. In the chest cavity. So each branch is called bronchus. So this bronchus enters into the lungs, children. The bronchus enters into lungs. Children, how many lungs are there in a human body? There are one pair of. How many lungs are there, children? One pair of lungs. Do you know where are they? They are present in the chest cavity. They are present in chest cavity. One pair of lungs are there, and these lungs are present in the chest cavity. So here bronchus enters into lungs, and in the lungs these bronchus divides into several branches. These branches are called bronchioles. What are those, children? These are called bronchioles. What are these, children? These are called bronchioles. These small branches, these are called bronchioles. These are called small bronchioles. These are very thin These are very thin. These are thinner than our air. These are thinner than our air. So, these are called bronchioles. Bronchioles. So, these are thinner than our air. So, these bronchioles opens into lungs. There are 8 chambers in the lungs. These 8 chambers are called alveoli. So this is 8 chamber. So here these bronchus or bronchioles, the thinner tubes enters into the alveoli. Okay children, this is the respiratory system. This is the respiratory system in the human body. So lungs. Lungs are covered with a membrane. This is called pleural membrane. Lungs are covered with a membrane. This is called pleural membrane. It is sponge-like tissue. So this contains several air gaps, air chambers. These air chambers are called alveoli. It has a great power, that is, it expand and contract. It can expand and contract. It has a capacity to expand and contract. So it looks like sponge. Do you know which case protects the lungs? So rib case protects the lungs. So the air, not only oxygen, the air enters into the nose. Then the air from the nose enters into nasal cavity. Air from the nose enters into nasal cavity. This is nasal cavity. So if you observe the nasal cavity, there are hair-like structures. These are called cilia. This cilia, do you know what is the use of the cilia? Cilia is very, very important. Why? Because cilia filter the air. The air contains dust particles. So the cilia inside the nostrils, that is nasal cavity, filter the dust particles. Then the air from the nasal cavity enters into pharynx. Children, here the food can pass to the pharynx, air also can pass to the pharynx. Then what will happen if the food passes through the pharynx and enters the esophagus or food pipe? No problem. The food may from the pharynx to enters into larynx. So then what will happen? It causes some hiccups. So to prevent the entry of food into the larynx, there is a flap-like structure, door-like cap or door-like structure. This is called epiglottis. So the air enters. It prevents the entry of food into the larynx. Now from the nasal cavity, the air enters into the pharynx. From the pharynx to larynx. Already I told you children, with the larynx there are two vocal cords. They vibrate. When the air passes over them, they vibrate and produce sound. So, next, larynx to the air enters into trachea. Enters into trachea. So, this is, here in the trachea, the rings of cartilage. This is called cartilage. Cartilage, what is children cartilage? I told you in the previous lesson. So cartilage is nothing but it is soft bone. You see, bone, it is a harder. It is harder. Bone is hard. But cartilage is very soft. Cartilage is very soft. Okay? It gives some support to the trachea. It gives some support, mechanical support to the trachea. Inside the trachea also, there are air-like structures, cilia. Cilia. That means air-like structures. So, it again filters the dust particles. Okay, children? And it secretes some substance, some sticky substance in the trachea, that is called mucus. Mucus, the walls of the trachea secretes a sticky substance that is called mucus. So, mucus, when we inhale, so the air is hot. So, this mucus cool down the air and filter the dust particles, etc. From the trachea, the air enters into lungs. Air enters into lungs. So, in the lungs, what I told you alveoli. What is that one? That is alveoli. 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 So, where are these alveoli present? These alveoli are present on the walls of the lungs. So, the air from the lungs enters into alveoli. Children, here the air from the atmosphere enters into nose, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, lungs and alveoli. So, here the air contains oxygen. It is rich in oxygen. That means the air contains oxygen. Okay, children? Now, here the alveoli, in the alveoli, this alveoli is supplied with blood vessels. This alveoli is supplied with blood vessels. Okay, here the blood absorbs the oxygen from the air. That means oxygen from the air diffuses into blood, and at the same time carbon dioxide from the blood diffuses out into the alveoli. That means here exchange of gases, exchange of oxygen. Children, oxygen. O2 means oxygen. CO2 means carbon dioxide. Exchange of gases, that means oxygen and carbon dioxide, takes place in the alveoli. So from the alveoli, O2 enters into blood, and from blood vessels, so blood capillaries, carbon dioxide from the blood capillaries releases into the alveoli. Exchanges of gases takes place in the alveoli. Again, what will happen? Here, the gases, that means from the alveoli, the air in the alveoli rich in carbon dioxide. Why? Because the blood carries the carbon dioxide and releases into alveoli. So, the air rich in carbon dioxide from the alveoli enters into lungs and into trachea, trachea to larynx, larynx to pharynx, pharynx to nasal cavity nose, and it is expelled out. It expelled out. Okay, children, this is the this is about respiratory system in our human being. Then what will happen here in the alveoli? And what is the respiratory mechanism? We will learn in the next module. Thank you very much.